Hi, it's the Wealthy Expat here. In this video, let's go over how I got a $150,000 passport from St. Christopher and Nevis, better called St. Kitts and Nevis. What was the entire process? It took me about 6.5 months to receive the passport after applying, but it obviously took a lot more time to gather the documents, to research what country I should get citizenship from, and I'm going to tell you exactly what the steps are so that you can be prepared if you want to do citizenship by investment and what you should look out for in the whole process. The first step to all of this is deciding what country you want to be a citizen of. Where are you going to give them money in exchange for the citizenship and the passport? Some countries, for example, will allow you to do the citizenship with a partner, and you can both partner up in real estate and get the citizenship, in Antigua in this case. Other countries just accept a donation, like St. Kitts. You pay $150,000, you become a citizen in 6.5 months or 7 months or 12 months, depending on the agent that you use. In my case, I used a pretty good agent, and I do recommend my agent to other clients so they can use him as well. But basically, just comparing the countries, because this is something that you're going to have for the rest of your life, and you're going to pass it on to your children and your other family members. So obviously this can't be taken lightly. You need to make a clear, conscious decision that is going to be long-term, is going to affect many things like visa-free travel. If this is going to be the only passport that you live with because you're renouncing US citizenship, how you're going to be respected all over the world. If this country, like for example Antigua and Barbuda, decides to split off into two different countries, or St. Kitts loses access to the EU because they're the most well-known program, or Dominica because they haven't done due diligence checks properly. So you really need to analyze this properly. This isn't a light decision. It took me about 3 to 4 months to really make this decision into getting St. Kitts citizenship. I made many videos on how I made that decision and which passport is the best to buy for your particular situation, which passport is the fastest. They're all in the description, all the links to those videos. But this can take you 3-4 months, potentially even longer. Some people just make this decision in 1 week, but do take the necessary time in order to make this decision. Once you make that decision, all right, time starts counting. We gather the documentation, which is the toughest part of this whole process. It's gathering documents, because you need birth certificate, police reports, marriage certificate if you're doing with a spouse, birth certificate of your children if you're doing with children. You also need supporting documentation. For example, this one trips up a lot of clients. They need bank statements for the last 6 months. If you're going to get police reports, you need them from countries that are countries that you've been born in sometimes, or countries where you're a citizen of, or countries where you live for more than 1 year. So in my case, I lived for more than 1 year in Dubai, I lived for more than 1 year in Ukraine, and I'm a US citizen. So I had to get police reports of all of those 3 countries. And some people can get police reports of countries they were born in, or they were a citizen of. For example, you were born in Venezuela, you became a Venezuelan citizen, but then you went and lived in Australia for 40 years, therefore you're an Australian citizen. Well, you might need to get a police report of the country where you were also a citizen, which is Venezuela, because you were born there. And sometimes that trips up a lot of clients. You also need bank statements in one particular country, so those should be from the same bank. Sometimes clients, they just do crypto, they don't have bank statements, they don't even use a bank, maybe for some small transactions. How are you going to prove that you've been a loyal client of a bank for the last 6 to 12 months or potentially 2 years? So that one also trips up a lot of clients. Also, birth certificates. Some clients that were born in one particular country, but they're a citizen of another country. So maybe you were born in the Czech Republic and you became a citizen of Germany, and then you went and moved on to the US, and now you've been living in the US for 20 years and you want to get another passport. So maybe you're a dual citizen, German, US, even though that's not theoretically possible, but I'm just putting up the scenario here. So you might need a birth certificate issued in the Czech Republic because you were born there, or maybe that was another country back then when you were born 50 years ago, maybe even the USSR. The point is, you need a birth certificate. And sometimes getting birth certificates is quite tough. So make sure you have the birth certificate. Usually they'll ask for the original, if not a certified apostille copy. You might also need to apostille all the other documents like police reports, like marriage certificate, like bank statements. All those need to be apostille, attested. And sometimes countries like the UAE, which funny enough, they're not part of the Hague Convention, it's very hard to apostille and attest documents. So that one was really a tough one. That's actually the toughest part of this whole process. And also, for example, for US citizens that live abroad, you need a police report from the FBI. And to get an FBI police report, good luck, because it's very hard. The only place, for example, in Dubai that you can do the police report through is the airport. You need to go to the airport police station, get your fingerprints done, then send those fingerprints to the FBI in the United States, then get your police report back, and then you can submit it. So honestly, that process took about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and it was pretty annoying because the office, like the police office at the airport in Dubai, was closed most of the time. So I couldn't really get the fingerprints done until that was done. And then they asked me to come another day. So this document gathering process is honestly the most annoying part of it. And sometimes they'll ask for, like I said, supporting documentation, like they might ask for a reference letter of somebody that you know for the last 3 to 5 years. It might be a business partner, it might be a client, it might be a vendor, it might be whoever that you've known for 3 to 5 years that'll write out a letter certifying, saying that you are eligible for this citizenship because you are a person of good conduct and good standing. So this one is also a tough one. You also need, for example, contract with some of your clients to prove the source of funds. You need proof of funds that you have the money to pay for the citizenship in your bank account, in your crypto wallet, in the case of Dominica. So all of these documents that you need, you can find a list down in the description below. You do need to prepare for them and need to have them ready, and then the application can start. Sometimes, for example, in my case, I had some documents that were not done by the time that I applied. I first sent some documents, they accepted them. Then I sent other documents about 2 weeks later, and in the beginning, that's when the application actually started. So the 6.5 months started counting from the moment when I sent some documents, mainly birth certificate, police reports, and other important documents like your passport copy, like your US passport, US citizenship proof, things like that. So basically saying that you are a citizen of a country and you have police reports and you have a birth certificate. Once they have all those documents, they can start processing and they can receive the other documents later on, like the bank statements or the reference letter. So usually they'll start the process off with those first original documents. After you have all your documents completed, let's say it takes you 2 months to get them completed and ready and attested and certified and all of this, be careful because police reports only last 3 months. In most countries, sometimes 6 months, but usually 90 days. Once you have all of that done, you apply. From the moment when you apply, you don't really need to pay the whole donation amount. You don't need to pay the 150 grand. You just pay due diligence and the lawyer fees. So in this case, I just paid due diligence and I paid some other fees like the passport fees, and I also paid my lawyer. You pay that, you don't pay the donation yet. You pay the donation about 4 months after when you get approved. So I started the application, then I waited patiently for 3 to 4 months until I received the approval letter. So you'll either receive a rejection or an approval. Most people receive an approval unless you're a criminal, unless you've done very weird stuff in your past, you got sued by 20 different people, or you come from a country that is at war, something that you probably are not one of those people. You get a rejection. But if you get the approval, which is amazing, you get a letter certifying your approval, and then you make the payment. The payment needs to be done within the next 6 months, if I remember correctly, and you usually make it pretty quick because you want the citizenship to be done fast. So I made it about 3 days after. The payment took about 3 to 4 days to be certified, so it took about another week, and then they started the process of issuing this citizenship. Then it took them about another month and a half. So at this point, we're at like the 5.5 months, 6 months mark, when your certificate of registration gets issued, the COR, and you are officially a citizen of St Kitts and Nevis or of any country where you choose. So that's at the 6 month mark, 5.5 month mark, and then you wait patiently again for your passport. The passport takes about 2 weeks. Again, sometimes the passport fees are paid at the beginning of the process. Sometimes they're paid at the end of the process. Typically, it's $1,000 per passport. If you're doing it with many people, let's say you're like 8 different people applying for citizenship under one family, obviously it's going to take longer. It might take 9 months instead of 6.5 months because they need to print a lot of passports. They need to get all these certificates of registration and make citizens of many different people. So for one person, expected to take about 6.5 months from the moment of application. So in reality, from the moment you decide to choose a country to the moment when you get all the required documentation to the moment where you actually submit, that might take about 3 months on top of the 6.5 months that it takes to get the passport. So this whole process might take 9.5 months, maybe a year or so to get completed because you're doing all these prior steps. So make sure you have all the documents. If you want the full list, it's in the description so you know all of them so that you can prepare them, because some of them do have an expiry date, and then you can finally apply and become a citizen. It is truly a beauty to own a citizenship by investment passport, to travel with it, to be represented by it, to open bank accounts under it. It is absolutely a beauty, and I do recommend it to many people to protect your freedom, your lifestyle, your assets, your money. If you want to find out what passport to get, which is the best passport to buy, if you have the money to buy them, check out the video that's gonna pop up right here. And if you want help with citizenship by investment or moving to countries that'll welcome your wealth, that you'll pay 0 taxes in, click that first link in the description. Book a one-on-one call with us and we're happy to help you. Subscribe to that notification bell, the like button down below. Make sure to watch the video, and I'll see you on the next one.